Oh, are we on? Oh, all right.
And we're back with another episode.
Yeah, we're all back.
Happy Greek Easter.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about Greek Easter till I moved to Long Island. I guess there's a lot of Greek people here.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've celebrated Greek Easter now for a number of years, but I just got back. I had a Greek Easter day. Caitlin didn't go because she's on a strict diet and in camp, and this is just like eating. But this was the first time in like 2 months that I've broke my diet.
Mm-hmm.
And basically my diet is like no bread, pizza, pasta, anything like that. But I ate some bread and I had lamb and orzo. The lamb is good, but the orzo is just pasta and a shape of rice. So I broke my diet today.
So you're going to have major inflammation tomorrow?
Probably, but my plan is I won't eat again until tomorrow night, like at 7:00 for dinner. So I'm going to do a 24-hour fast. It'll reset me, get back on track. Because I hate that I broke my diet.
But the lamb and orzo is really good.
Well, I ate bread too, though.
It's like worth it.
It is.
It's not like bread, just any bread. Like they get good bread.
Of course.
Yeah, I didn't like not go just because of the food. Because I can be around, you know me, I can be around food. That doesn't bother. I'm not like, don't eat that in front of me. If anything, you know, I'm the opposite. Like during fight week when we're around, I'm like, get dessert, get this. Almost to like live vicariously. But Sunday's still a training day for me. I take off on Thursdays. So I had 2 sessions today and then I got back and I was just feeling like kind of, you know, it's like my 4th day training in a row. So I feel kind of like burnout a little, not burnout, but just tired. I was like, sometimes I like to go to things just because I'm like, all right, I like to get dressed, put on like, do my hair, put on normal clothes and go out and be social. But like, and earlier in the week, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going on Sunday. And then today I was like, I'm so exhausted. Like I just have to make it through this wrestling practice so I can get home and sleep. And I got home and you know me, I never take naps. No. And I slept like 2 hours hard.
You said you went actually in bed, right?
Yeah. I never go in like we don't really go in our bedroom unless it's nighttime.
No.
But yeah, I went into bed and I slept like so hard for 2 hours. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in camp and you're that regimented, like you don't have the luxury of driving 40 minutes one way to go to a social event.
Right.
That time is better spent laying down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you're a real professional athlete and you do everything right, like every hour of your day is accounted for. It needs to either be for training, recovery, nutrition, like all those hours count.
Mm-hmm.
Like driving up to a social event 40 minutes away, like that fucks with your day a little bit.
Yeah. And like I said, I have to know when sometimes that is a good thing for me to do, where I'm like, okay, I need a little bit of a mental break from, you know, from training, from the gym, because you can't just always be like doing this all the time. Like I've definitely over the years with my training, I have the tendency to become very like almost OCD with my training schedule. And I used to overtrain definitely a lot more. Like right. I forget, my coach said it to me like last week. He's like, you know, if you're feeling tired, maybe just, you don't have to take a whole rest day, but say you do, you know, 10 workouts a week, maybe the next week just do like 9. That makes a big difference. I was like, well, I do 15 workouts a week.
Wow.
And he's like, what? I'm like, well, but not all of them are like, I'm pretty good at managing like what some are super hard, some are less intense. And like, you know, if I'm feeling burnout, I might just like take off the intense one.
Yeah.
Or I only do the intense one.
You stay the same as like when you were in the regional shows.
Yes.
The same schedule, the same drive and like work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I always think I love what Chael Sonnen always says, that whenever like a veteran fighter will shift and go to a new camp, or they'll say things like, I'm training smarter, not harder. I'm not sparring anymore. I'm focusing on the mental. Anything like that, that means their career is kind of winding down.
Yeah.
Like you should bet on the other guy. Where you've been the exact same since before you got to the UFC.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, obviously some things I changed, like, you know, definitely I think I trained smarter, but in a sense that I'm doing harder, maybe like shorter sessions, but going harder in those sessions. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm training smarter, but it's definitely way harder. Because before I would train for like like a 3-hour session. I thought that was good. But now I'll do like, an hour and a half session. It's like split it up and then go a lot harder in both of them. So really I'm going harder.
Yeah.
I was talking about it the other day with Frankie Edgar because he was in Vegas.
Well, Frankie's been the same as you.
Yeah,
He's
and that's
been
where
doing the same thing for 20 years.
Yeah, and he was in Vegas recently, spending some time there, and he like trained at the PI, and we were talking about it. The PT and the physical therapy and the recovery setup that they have at the Performance Institute in Vegas is so insane. You go there and you're like almost like I can't go to PT anywhere else because it's so good.
Right.
Especially the main girl Heather there, everyone like raves about it, but all of the staff is really good. So people that go there and train, they have this facility, they have strength and conditioning, that you get food, then you can work with the nutritionist, you can get PT any day of the week. Like, so you're I'm a little sore. You go in and they like dry needling, cupping, massage, everything you want. And we were saying, he's like, yeah, I went, and he's like, it's so good. I said, even when like 2 years ago, my neck was really bad and I went for 4 or 5 days. It was like after a fight. And I remember thinking, I was like, is 4 days even enough? Like, you know what I mean? Because like, I can't just go and spend a month in Vegas.
Right.
I mean, maybe if I had like major surgery, but I probably wouldn't. I could, but I don't want to. I don't want to live in, like, I want to be at my home,
Right, yeah.
And, but I remember I went for 4 days and I was like, is this even going to be enough to, 4 days? If you can go and see them for like 2 days and they know you're there for 4 days, they'll get you in twice a day. And it's like so amazing. But the point of my story is that he was saying, he's like, man, he's like, when you go there, you think you're like, oh, the fighters that train in Vegas, this is amazing. But then like, I was like, yeah, but it's a weird environment because there's all these people traveling from all different places. Some people want to train together, some people don't. And I think that the fighters that train, for what I see, the fighters that train in Vegas, they think because they're training in the PI and they're doing strength training and pad work and PT, they think that they're training harder. But I'm like, yo, you're not. It doesn't seem like they have like as intense, like it's more chill. Like they're not doing, it's like a big group. You can kind of just blend in. They're not sparring. They don't have their main sparring partners that they spar with every week. There's people coming in and out. And even Frankie said, he's like, it seems cool, but he's like, you can't really like, there's nothing better than just hard work. Yeah. And like where we train, it's just like hard work. You come in, you wrestle, you leave, you do this, it's just, but I guess everyone's different. Some people don't like that. So if they do that, they're not going to train, but I just like the grind of it. Because otherwise, that's the only way I feel confident going into a fight and being prepared is if I do those hard sessions, those sessions where I'm like, I feel like I'm getting kind of sick. I'm like, well, I'm going to wrestle, then I'm going to rest. Where everyone's like, you should just rest. I'm like, I might be sick on the fight day. I got to be able to push through it. Like when you're training, 2-3 times a day for, 2 months straight, you're going to get sick.
You get sick in every fight camp you've ever had.
Yeah. I only am sick in fight camp.
Yeah, but every single fight camp, you're sick at some point.
Yeah. My last 2 fights I had COVID. This is so far.
You've had staph.
Yeah. Staph and COVID's usually like the good combo I get.
Yeah, it's just when you're training that often, that's why that recovery is so important. Like that's why you can't take the car ride for Greek Easter. You got to lay down.
Yeah.
That's something that I was like terrible at when I was an athlete. Like,
well, you were younger too.
Yeah, I didn't know how important that stuff was.
And I think when you're younger, you can get away with not doing it as much. I mean, even when I was my first 7 pro fights and my first 2 UFC fights, I was still bartending. I would bartend and get home at 4 a.m.
Right.
And then drive an hour and a half to South Jersey and be at sparring at 9 a.m. the next day. Because I was like, oh, well, I just got to get there, spar, and then I come home, I could take a nap before I go back to work. But I could do that. Now I'm like, oh, if I go to bed late, I can't spar, I'm going to get hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you definitely, that's the one thing, like, I feel so much stronger now and more athletic. And I just feel like I'm just getting so much better. But the one thing I do know is I'm like, I need to like recover.
Right.
When you're younger, you don't really have to do that.
I used to like pride myself on the opposite of recovery. I'd be like, I could stay out all night long.
Yes.
Till 5 a.m. and then go right to practice at 6 a.m. and beat everyone.
And there is some type of like
And
mental
I would pride
toughness
myself
to
on
that.
Yeah. I would like, that gave like value. Of like, no, I'm fucking badass. I can be out all night long, get up and beat everyone in the room.
Yeah. But
like that breaks your body down like long term.
Yeah, like I said, I think when you're younger, you can get away with that and it's fine. Like same thing with like nutrition and all that,
Yes,
you know.
Yes. But you obviously you're doing everything right. 3 weeks out. It seems like you're on track.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I'm like so excited.
I'm excited. So excited.
I just want it to be now.
Yeah, me too. I wish it was like this upcoming weekend.
Me too.
But so Zane, I hear that you're back in the game.
I'm back in the game. Zane's back in the game.
So we'll post a picture of Zane. But Zane went on a date this weekend. Tell us about it.
I like literally wrote down like bullet points to go through.
Go. I want to hear it. Don't leave anything.
I'm
out.
Sorry. Can I just take credit for who was the one that pushed you to start dating again?
Caitlin.
Yes.
Okay, Zane. So tell me about it.
So first off, I want to preface this that like this was the date that caused me to like delete all the dating apps on my phone.
Wait, what? You deleted them? I thought this was like the opening act.
It was the opening act,
That's
but then
dramatic.
I was like, this is a
Okay.
little too early for me.
Oh.
Okay, so what happened?
Let me give.
I'm over this already.
Let me give the listeners some context first. Like
I'm so over this already now.
I just went through a breakup about like a month ago, and like you know how like when it's like not like a bad breakup, how it's like almost sucks more. Like
wait, what?
Like when it's not a bad breakup. Like
oh yes, yeah.
more.
When it's like mutual and you're just like when you're mature about it, it's like worse. You wish you wish the person like slashed your tires and you're like, she's a crazy bitch. I need to get away from her.
I fucking wish that happened.
Yeah,
I've been so sad.
Yeah,
because there's an element of like, wait, I don't understand. Like, why? What happened?
Yes,
we didn't get in a fight.
Yeah.
So she broke up with you like cordially.
It was kind of just like a mutual thing. Like we were talking about it for a while, and we just realized we were in like different places in our lives.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's tough. It's a lot like tougher.
So then you go on this date.
So I go on this date. I met this girl on Hinge. Hinge preferred. I was paying a membership. I was
Worth
trying
it.
my best to be a slut out there. I was talking to like 3 girls at once on this app. Like I
think
really
that's what you
playing
have
the
to
game.
do.
I feel like that's like the new,
especially when you start dating like right after a relationship. There's no you're not like, oh, this is the girl this is gonna be my next girlfriend. You just have to like talk to as many people as possible.
I agree. So like this girl invites me out to like what I think is like her like sorority formal. Like you guys know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Really? This was your first date?
But like it wasn't the formal.
Okay.
We're gonna get into this. So I show up, like I'm like looking nice or whatever. Like I bring flowers with me.
What'd you wear?
To be a gentleman.
Do you have those fresh new blazers on?
What'd you wear?
Oh, I wish I did. I had like like dress pants on. Like,
oh, so you went to the formal?
But the thing is, it wasn't a formal.
Oh my god.
So like she comes in like she's looking great. Like she's wearing like a cheetah print dress. Like I think it's kind of tacky to be honest, but I didn't say anything. I was like, "Oh, you look great. Like you look so pretty." And like we go to the school. Like we were at like St. John's in Queens, and we walk in, and it's not a formal. It's a beauty pageant.
Oh my god. Were you underdressed?
I was super underdressed.
Well, that's her fault for not telling you.
Right.
This is insane that I think for a first date, she just was like, hey, come to this formal with me.
It makes sense because like I feel like I've given no context to this girl. You won't believe what state she's from.
What state?
Just have one guess. Just to like see how like fucking crazy.
Well, the
this
cheetah's
is.
throwing me off, so I'm thinking it's a little bit cool. Like
Washington, D.C.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Arkansas. And like I could tell something was up because she like didn't have like the best English. You know what I mean? Like,
and she goes to St. John's.
She goes to St. John's in Queens. She's like a bio major. Typical like typical girl like trying to do her best for her family. And like we like walk in and like And like first we can't get in because like I'm not a student. It's like, yeah, this is like for like students only. Like we're not allowing people that don't go to the school into the event. And I'm like, whatever. Like we'll just like maybe I'll just drop you off at home and like we'll like I don't know, go do something else later. And she's like, no, we'll just go in through the back.
Oh my
so, like,
God,
I'm going in through the back and like everyone there that's supposed to be at the beauty pageant is like staring at me and her. Cause she's like on the board for this. Like she's like one of the people that helps up the event.
Oh my God.
And so like everyone's staring at me. Like I'm the only brown person. Oh, let me preface this too. This was a like Vietnamese student association run event. So everyone here was East Asian. I was the only like brown person there in the entire auditorium.
Okay.
And that makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. You know what I mean? Like I've like my like expectations have been subverted so much.
So then what happened?
I mean, like we just kind of like I guess like awkwardly like sit through like the beauty pageant,
like sitting next to each other.
Sitting next to each other.
We can't really talk during that, right?
Yeah, I was like, this is almost as bad as like going to like a movie on the first day.
That's weird that she would ask you to go to that.
So then what?
And then so like after that, like that was like maybe like 2 hours of that. It was 2 hours of us just sitting, and she's like trying to give me context here and there, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And so after that, like I take her like to go home so she can change. Cause she's wearing like high heels and a dress.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not gonna have fun if this is like what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Like, you can barely walk. Like at one point I had to give her like a piggyback ride to the car because she's like, my feet hurt. Like, can you carry me?
Was she impressed with how strong you are?
Dude, she was.
Yeah.
Let me tell
You were like,
I
let me scoop you up.
I was huffing and puffing after like Pablo, but
oh my God. So what did you do? Did you hang out after?
we did. So I like took her to like get like there was like an arcade nearby, so I took her there.
That seems like more appropriate.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like she was just like kind of, you know, when you like meet someone, you're like, you're like not really my sort of person.
Yeah, just like different.
Yeah, like she like was very like, we like ordered like bubble tea, and you know like how there's like sugar levels for bubble tea. This like a thing you guys?
I mean,
know?
we don't. Kyle knows nothing about bubble tea. I know a little bit more, and that's nothing. Bubble tea I have once, and the texture with the things in it like creeps me out.
So what? She got a sugary one?
She got like no sugar. She got like, it was almost like, I don't know. I was just like weirded out because I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be like a sugary drink. Like, you're supposed to enjoy.
Yeah,
this.
it's like a treat.
And like me, like, you know, trying to like make her feel comfortable. I'm like, yeah, I'll get 0 sugar too. It felt like I was just drinking like straight up milk.
So you were pissed that you didn't get the bubble tea.
I was so fucking livid.
Oh my!
So then the end of the night was
There's still so much going on.
Go.
Yes.
Well, this is like the opening act of the day. And so where did we go next? So like I can tell like that we're like getting bored of like the date. Like we're not really talking much. She doesn't seem like she's like enjoying it. I'm like, oh, do you want to go see like a comedy show? And she's like, oh my God, yeah.
That's great.
That's cool.
I love comedy.
Wait.
Oh God. Oh God.
So we pull up to the comedy club and like we're going inside, and she's like looking around very confused. Like I ordered us drinks, and like she's like we're going on. First of all, she's like, oh, like can you like order me a wine? Like I'll drink something if you order it for me.
What comedy club was it?
QED in Astoria.
Oh yeah, never been.
It's a smaller one, but so like I order her a wine. And like I order her like Prosecco or something. And like she starts drinking, and I see like she's not really touching it. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I don't really like bubbly wine. And I'm like, well, fucking, why didn't you say that before I ordered it for you?
Yeah. Or like she should just drink it. It's really not that serious. Like just drink it.
Yeah. And then after that, like people on stage start going up, and we sit down, and she's looking very confused still. Like I'm like, I don't. Like I'm like, hey,
what's wrong?
Is everything all right? Like I thought like this is what you want to do. She's like, oh, by like a comedy show? I thought you meant that like we were gonna like go watch like a movie, like a funny movie.
Wait.
Like she had no concept of what
Something
like,
was lost in translation almost.
I guess. But I'm like, what?
A comedy show. I mean, even if you've never been to one, you know that you're not like you said, oh, let's go see a comedy movie.
But you said her English isn't her first language.
No, he's just saying she has bad English, like bad grammar.
Like, I mean, I guess maybe this is something that like people from Arkansas struggle with, you know? But
there's not a lot of comedy clubs in Arkansas.
Not a lot of English, I'm assuming. And so like I'm like, all right, like I paid for tickets, and like
Yeah, you're not leaving. Like
no, we left. We left because I'm like,
why?
Because I was starting to feel like my ego get hurt. I was like, this is like starting to be like a boring date, and like
so then you were just like, fuck this. Like,
I'm
why
like,
am I wasting my time?
No, like we're like going to another place now. All right, because I'm like, all right,
salvage.
Dude, if you went to like a comedy show and she said agreed to it and then she wasn't happy with it, like I would have just been like, all right, maybe this just isn't working. Like she's obviously not cool. But you were trying to be nice.
I was trying to be so nice because this is like my like first date post breakup.
Yeah.
And like at each turn, I'm like, God, like my ex was so much fucking cooler.
Yeah, that
girl.
sucks.
Oh, you don't want to get in that space though.
Yeah.
And so like,
and it's too hard because like when you break up with someone, you have already are comfortable with each other. You might have like, if you were ever like you'd be like, well, me and my ex went to a comedy. We used to love comedy shows. They're so fun. And you're like, why does she not like it or something like, that part's tough. Because you're so comfortable with your ex, you have like jokes, and when you first start dating someone.
The worst is just like the music she liked. Like she liked like old R&B, but like I love old R&B, but like, it was all she listened to. Like I put on some of my music, and like she would just be like, I'm not really feeling this. Can we change it?
Oh gosh.
Like in your car?
Yeah. And I'm like, we're talking, but I'm like, there's like really nothing for us to like go off of. Like there's no like inside jokes. Like she's laughing at my jokes, but like there's only so much material that I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were doing all the entertaining and she wasn't doing any.
Yeah, I was like doing my best to like make this fun. And so I'm like, all right, like what's like the next best thing? I'm like, bitches love beaches. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna go to like a beach nearby, like in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like a small little like nice little retreat. So I'm like, all right, let me order us dinner. Like we'll go to this beach.
Oh my God, Zane, this is good.
A beach.
Like it was like not like a beach, but it's like a nice little view.
Yeah, and go and have food there, like eat dinner there. That's good.
Yeah, and so like I'm like we're going there, and like in the car it's like kind of awkward because like I'm tired. It's late at night.
Yeah, this is a long night.
I like kind of don't want to like keep talking about like. She's like, so like, what are you studying? I'm like, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's also like,
but she probably doesn't want to talk about jujitsu.
Yeah, like what can we? She's like, yeah, I used to do taekwondo when I was little, but I'm like,
same.
What the fuck? Like, how? I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so I get her like Korean food, and we end up at this beach, and like, like it's like nice, like she's like cuddling up to me, but like. We're like really still not having like much of a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like, yeah, I don't really watch TV.
You're like, what do you do?
She's like, I really like to read. I'm like, I mean,
that's cool, but
I feel like that's like a psychopath answer. Like, I don't watch TV. Like, who doesn't watch TV?
Yeah.
Like, I might not watch like Yellowstone like you guys, but like I know like what TV shows are.
Yeah, you have some, whether it's like super into it or not.
And then so like
she just seems boring.
At this point, I'm like, all right, like I need to take you home. Like I'm really getting like sick of this. Like
you put in a solid effort. So
I
at that point you can call it a night.
And then as we get back to my car, she's like, where did my phone go?
No.
And so we're like back at the beach. Like I'm like running around with a flashlight trying to find like where she dropped her phone. And she's like doing like, I'll give her credit. Like she was doing her best, like not to freak out. She was doing her best to be like a cool chick.
Yeah.
But, like I could tell like she was getting like visibly like distressed.
Did she find it?
We found it. I mean, it took a while, but
it was like in the sand.
Yeah. And then I like, all right. So then like, I'm like, whatever, like you're asleep now. Like she's like in the car. Like she like fell asleep in like the passenger seat.
She fell asleep?
She fell asleep.
Was she wasted?
I don't think so.
Oh my God.
But I'm like,
sleepy
but
girl.
like honestly, I was like, I'm like fine with this.
Yeah,
I'm
you're like,
I don't really want to talk. And like the whole time I'm driving, I'm just like, God, like I don't think I'm ready to go back out there.
Well, it's like one of those, just because it was like not a great first date doesn't mean, I mean, you can't expect like your first date to be turn into like the best relationship ever. The whole point of it is just to like get out there.
Like a first date like that, where the first time you meet someone, you go right into like a date, like a social event date. I think that that's tougher than like meeting someone, hooking up the first night, then the next time you see them is like your first date. Mm-hmm. So you kind of like got the awkwardness out the first time. Mm-hmm. So then you're like hanging out, giving it a try. Like it's easier to go like backwards.
Well, because you're both like attracted to each other,
right,
so you're not thinking about that the whole time,
right?
And
like
you're just like, do we like each other?
Is like if I met a girl on a dating site, this is just my advice to you. I wouldn't try to facilitate like much of a date. Like I would either try to be like, come over and Netflix and chill.
But it's hard because
or I'd be like, let's just meet up for a coffee, like something very simple just to get like, see how it plays out. Like not like driving around and experimenting with different places and things.
Well,
and
the thing
ideas.
with that is I think when guys
The first time, super simple, or
hook up.
as I used to say back in the day, from my space to my place. You know what I mean? Word of advice.
Okay.
I
James
wish
like,
I
what
took
is
this.
MySpace? No, but I think you should keep it simple because like, but it's tough because I know like from my friends and stuff when they were single, they expect like girls expect they're like, well, if you want to talk to me, you need to take me on a date.
Even
and
the
it's
first
like,
date? Like
yes,
that?
yes. I mean, I think not everyone, but I think a lot of girls are like, you should take me on a date. And it's tough for guys because it's like, well, why am I like gonna pay for like a dinner and drinks and all this stuff? Not that they're like to sound cheap, but why are you gonna do all that if like we don't even know if we kind of like each other? I think
But I don't think that most guys do that though, because I've done that.
I think it's
I've
different.
done that a bunch of times. But it's like, oh my God, we went on like a real, even with you, like you were like surprised we went on like a real date, our first date.
Yeah.
Most times I think people scale it back and it's either
But
just
I had
like
never-
come over or meet up for a drink and there's like a group of friends out.
But I had never done like online dating, and I've never done like where you meet someone, talk, and then all right, let's hang out. And like the only people that I ever like went on dates with and stuff like that, I had hung out with them in groups before. So then that makes a lot. So you kind of know if you're a little into each other. It was never, I did one time I went on like a Tinder date or something, and it was like awful. I mean, it wasn't awful. It was just kind of like, I think in my head, I didn't want to do it. My friend's like, just do it. She would go on like dates all the time. She's like, it's fun. You just meet people. She's like, it's fun stories, whatever. She's like, just try it. She's like, don't expect it to be like great. She's like, if not, like whatever. It's just something to do. I was like, okay. And then I think I didn't really want it to go good either. I was like, ugh. And when I did that, that was like, when this was like years ago when Tinder like kind of first started. It wasn't as popular. When I say Tinder, I mean all of like the dating sites. It wasn't as popular. Then it was almost like guys didn't take girls seriously if they were on Tinder a little bit. It's like, oh, it's just a hookup. Where now I think it's more socially acceptable. Like, oh, well, that's how you meet. You go on and you meet people, you start talking to them. Whereas before it would be like, I remember going on and like that was the thing you tell your friends, like, oh my God, I saw so and so on Tinder.
Right.
And they're like, you know what I mean? You just assume, and like, but now it's different. But then I was kind of like, I don't know. And it was like, for like, I don't know. I was always like weird. This was before, like definitely way before I was like in the UFC, but I was still like a professional fighter. I was like, oh, I would feel weird if like people know me and they saw me on there. Like now it's different, but I just felt like weird about that. But I went out and we went to, the guy picked me up and we went to Cheesecake Factory. And I remember I was like, oh my God, I love Buffalo Blast. And he's like, well, it's like so big, so let's not get that. I was like, what? You don't want to get Buffalo Blast? Like he was like, well, it's gonna be so big. He's like, I'm not really gonna eat any, so let's just not get that because then we're not gonna eat all that food. I was like, I am. And then I remember it was like, it was fine, but it was like I knew right away, like probably before he picked me up, probably before we even sat down at the restaurant, I knew I was like, I'm not into him. Nothing. He didn't do anything like super wrong. I mean, not being amped about the Buffalo Blast was kind of a letdown.
I mean, even like Cheesecake Factory to start with, that's a little, as they say, the kids nowadays say, hokey.
Yeah, but where I live,
Cheesecake Factory date is.
I love Cheesecake Factory, so I could have been.
I don't think anyone my age says hokey.
I've never. Me too.
No, what's that word?
Chuggy.
Chuggy. My bad. Chuggy.
He's like, no one my age says that. I'm like, no one says that, Zane, regardless of age.
It's Cheesecake Factory's Chuggy.
Yeah, but to be fair, I will fuck up Cheesecake Factory.
Sure.
I would love that. I could have, if he was cool, I could have been like, oh my God, I love
But I
Cheesecake
think like
Factory.
pulling into like a strip mall or a mall for a first date, like I don't know.
But where we lived, it wasn't like around here.
Yeah.
There wasn't like as like cool spots, but whatever. So but I knew right away. I was like, I'm not in. And once I like am not in, I can't fake it. But I was like, he was nice. He wasn't like an asshole. So I was like, I have to be nice. And I was just like, to like get through this dinner. It was like the worst experience of my life because I'm like, I do not like to do anything I don't want to do.
Right.
You know that like about me. I can't fake it. But whatever. We sat there and then he drove me home and he was like kind of like, oh, do you want to like, he pulled up and I was like, all right, cool. Like, thanks. I was like, I'll talk to you later. Cause I'm like, and then he was like, oh, like I can come in and hang out. What?
And what'd you say?
I was like,
I gotta wake up early.
I was like, I think I said, I was like, oh, cause I lived with my brother at the time. Like, I was like, I live with my brother. I'm like, he's home and he's a psycho. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, there's no way. Okay. He's like, what? He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, he's crazy. I just like made it up. I was like he's crazy.
That guy, like, how can you not pick up the vibe that you're putting off? If like the whole dinner was like a little like,
you know,
clunky, you should know that the end of the night's not going to be like, come on up.
And it wasn't like,
tea.
It wasn't like, oh, we were like, I think we each had like a drink. It wasn't like we were like, he wasn't drunk or like, oh, let me, you know, but I was like, and I think it got a little awkward because I said no and he was like, kind of pushed it a little bit. Like I was already uncomfortable saying no. And then I just like blocked his number and never talked to him again. Which I probably shouldn't have. My advice to like younger people that are dating is to be honest with people, like texting them, like instead, because I would always just like block their number and pretend like I died. And because I don't like confrontation. But I think like that was more of like an immature thing that I used to do. I think now if I was like dating, I would just text and be like, hey, honestly, like you're cool, but I was just like, I'm not really feeling it. Cause like, I know when you're on the other end, you're like, I don't care if you're not into me, just tell me. But like, I would think that, but I would never tell people that.
Right.
And it's so weird. Cause it's like, you could be cool with the person and be like, oh yeah, cool. No worries. Like, I think you should be honest with the person, but I don't think, Zane, you should like not date anymore.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You should just make sure you know what the date is. You shouldn't be going to like a fashion show.
I just feel like I need like a little bit more time to like get over
or go on there and just talk to girls. You don't have to like necessarily meet up with them.
Yeah, but then that's just like energy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I do a lot for a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, dude. Like I like my last relationship was probably like my happiest relationship I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she was awesome.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of like a tough act to follow right now, especially with everything I have going on.
Yeah. I think you should just keep doing. You didn't really do like online dating, did you?
Well,
a little bit.
Like
MySpace.
Yeah, a lot. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But then I did like Plenty of Fish too for a little bit. I definitely have gone on dates from like Plenty of Fish or Tinder, stuff like that.
I always like see on TikTok like girls that like tell dating stories because now it's like so like everyone does it. So I was at the end of the curve where it was like some people definitely did it, but not everyone. Now it's like that's just how you do it all the time. So seeing like stories and stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Like it's, you know, now it's so normal for them to do that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like scary. You're the only person that I would say like ours was a semi-blind date. Yeah. I mean, wasn't blind date in the sense that like I knew what you looked like, but
online dating.
Yeah, but like our first time we talked like every day for 2-3 weeks, like every day, all day long, and but I remember like it was like a full date.
Yeah,
I was like so nervous because I was like, oh, I don't do like real dates.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
I remember you were like, hey, we're gonna go out to dinner, okay, and you sent me like. You're like, here, you sent me 2 restaurants and let me pick from them. And it was like, you sent like, I still remember you sent like the name of the restaurant, a long description of the restaurant, of the ambiance at the restaurant, the food that they have, and the website link of both of the restaurants. And I remember it was like, one was like a cool, like Italian brick oven pizza type of one with like cool cocktails. And the other one was like a steakhouse, like a nice steakhouse. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say the steakhouse is obviously like way more expensive. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to say that. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I didn't want to, but we ended up going to that one.
Yeah.
You're such a romantic.
I was like, oh, I remember screenshotting that and sending it to like all my friends. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Look at this guy, like
Really?
not insane, like in a bad way, in a good way. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, which one should I pick? Because I remember being like, I don't know what to say because I don't want to pick like the more expensive restaurant and be like, because I feel bad, you know what I mean? And I was like, but I don't know. I feel like he kind of wants to go to that one, but I'm not sure. I don't even know how we ended up picking it, but
that's funny.
But yeah, that was like super funny.
I think that you should stay in the online dating though. But I think the next one you should like take it back a little and just do something super casual.
Maybe just the bubble tea.
Oh, you know what else threw me off on the date? We were in the car and like I like got her like this stuffed animal from like the arcade.
Jesus.
They were at the arcade.
Oh, the
At
arcade.
the
okay.
He didn't bring it.
I didn't just bring it for her.
He didn't bring like Valentine's
And
gifts.
what happened?
So like I won it for her and like we're like making jokes. We're like, oh, like this is our kid. Like we've got to name it soon.
Uh-huh.
And then like it's like a little silent for a second. Like I'm like changing the song. I'm like thinking about like, all right, this is how we're gonna get to the beach. And I don't know where she's like, yeah, I'm looking for something serious.
Just out of nowhere, she said that.
Just out of nowhere. And I was like, I didn't say anything in the moment. I was like, oh, that's cool. But like in my mind, I was like, you're like not cool enough.
You're like, me too, but not with you. Like, because obviously at the end of the day, like everyone's like kind of if you're single, you're looking for something serious, but like, you know, right away, or if you're like gonna see this person again, kind of, or if you like are into them.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just said, oh, that's cool.
I like didn't really know what to say. It was just I was just so taken aback. I was like, this is our first, like, look at the like thing you invited me to. Like, I don't even like really know you and we haven't really spoken.
That's a weird event to go to.
It's definitely a weird event to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird event.
It wasn't like she was like, hey, I have this thing. She's like, it's like a school event, but it's like or some type of event, but it's like an open bar. Like you're like, oh, it'll be cool. It's like a party, and you're like, okay,
Then
cool.
You dropped her off at her place and just drove home.
Yeah, I just
no kiss goodnight.
Oh, Kyle.
I like wasn't really feeling it.
That's
like,
good.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to like lead you on either. Like this isn't really what I want.
Did you hug her?
I gave her like a nice little, like side hug.
Like an arm around.
It was just like, cause we were in the car and I like had my seatbelt. I was like, okay,
Like,
bye.
You didn't walk her to the door?
No, I just waited to make sure she got in safely. And
That's
I was
good.
Like, that's like
Yeah.
the most I got. And on the car at home, I was like, God, I like.
Then you on the car ride home.
I don't want to say her name, but like, I wish we never broke up.
Oh.
Oh, well, of course that's normal to think. Like, especially like, I think if you break up with someone that you really like, or you went through a breakup and then you go on a date, your first reaction is just to compare it.
Right.
And obviously the first date's you're not gonna be like, oh my God, this is great. You're gonna be like, there's like that period where you're like, okay, I'm getting a little better. I'm ready to go on a date. And then the date's not good. And then you kind of feel like you go back a few steps.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
right.
but that's just part of the process of getting over someone.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember you you went to a school dance? Or did you ever go?
No.
What happened?
Wait, which one are you talking about?
When your mom gave you like dating advice?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we've told this story on here, but yeah, that was like the first dating advice I ever got. I was like in 9th grade.
Yeah, because when you're younger, you get dating advice from
your mom.
I guess now kids get it all like on the internet, but
But I remember I was in 9th grade and there was a girl in my class who I like, I was like, oh, she's cute, whatever. And there was a dance coming up, like a homecoming dance. And then I was like bummed that I didn't have a date. Like I was like, I was like, I don't have a date, because I was like, we've talked about Ugly Kyle.
yeah.
And then
Zing, you knew that
was
was his name when he was in school, Ugly Kyle.
Then my mom was like, well, there's got to be someone you could ask, someone. And then I was like, well, there's this one girl in my class who's pretty. Like, we'll call her and ask her. We looked up her phone number in the yellow pages, like
Her parents' home phone number.
I called, I asked, I was like, hi, is so-and-so home? I was like, hi, this is Kyle. I'm in your social studies class. Would you like to go to homecoming with me? Like, who? I was like, Kyle, I'm in your class. And they're like, no, and then hung up on me. And I was devastated because the next day you have to go back
And you have to sit there at your desk
to that class, you know? Like, but my mom, that was her advice. Where like it's such poor advice because the advice should have been like, well, your time will come. You're too young to date anyway. Just wait, you know.
Yeah.
You're like the ugly duckling, like your time will come one day. But my mom was like, go for it.
She's like, oh, she would love to go with you.
Yeah, she was like, how can anyone not like you? And then I was like fucked up with like no confidence for girls for like years of my life.
Well, if that's your first experience, it's like, oh, never mind.
And then like the rest of high school, basically. Yeah.
You know what I thought was really funny? So I remember like the one night we brought Caitlin like her birthday gift, and like I got like really high after the date, and I was thinking about it. And I just like, you're just so polite to people, Kyle.
I am.
Like it was like me and my ex, we came to give Caitlin her birthday gift, and like she walked through the door, and like usually like most people like going for a hug, but you're just like, you just waved at her. You were like, hi, and like you did like this thing with your arm, like you were like kind of uncomfortable, like you didn't really know what to do.
You didn't know if you should go in for the hug.
You were being so polite, and I was
you
like,
didn't know if you should go in for the hug.
That's cute.
So Kyle's like such a good guy.
Well, I'm not good at like hugs and kisses. Hello, like when you go to hug someone, hello, like a greeting, like, you know, do you like, it's like a kiss on the cheek. Do you kiss? Does the man kiss the woman's cheek?
I think it's mutual.
Or just offer up the cheek for the woman to kiss?
I just do fist bumps now because I'm
no.
So
but what do
I
you
think
do?
it's a mutual thing. I don't know. I black out when that happens, so I just like I'm like.
But what are you supposed to do?
I think I like black out when it happens, and I just like do. I aggressively just do it so we can get it over with.
Like I was like sometimes you touch cheeks or do you kiss them?
No, you don't kiss. You don't put your lips.
But I see people do that though.
Who puts their lips on like?
Oh my god, I've definitely see people like both ways. The girl kiss the guy like cheek.
No, it's just your cheeks just touch.
But you go and then like
your cheeks just touch. It's like a fist bump but with your cheek, a cheek bump.
I don't know. I feel there's some kissing and some people.
Who's kissing you?
Definitely sometimes.
I can agree that there is some kissing involved sometimes.
For sure it does. And that's why it throws me off. Like, am I supposed to like kiss? Or
no, you're just
offer your cheek.
No, you're not supposed to kiss.
Offer your cheek.
You're not supposed to kiss. You're just supposed to tap your cheek.
Just like this?
Yeah.
But usually I specifically like there's some type of sound.
Yeah, you make the sound, but I specifically put my lips like, so this is a side. I specifically like put my lips all the way to the side. Sometimes it's even like an ear.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that usually.
Yeah.
Well, today I had like 4 kisses.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's weird too when we were talking about this, like actually when me and Ryan LaFleur were talking about it when we went to his kava bar, like when I see Ryan and Greg, the other guy from the gym, when I see them in a social settings, I give him a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Hey, how are you? I see them like 3 times a week at the gym and I'm like, what's up? And I walk by him and we talked about it. Like, wait, why is it weird? It's weird because like when we see each other in a social setting, like if we go to dinner or like their house or whatever, we do like the more formal greeting. But I just saw them like the day before at the gym and I'm just like, head nod, what's up?
Yeah.
Because like at the gym, I'm not gonna, I don't know. I see them it's like when you see someone, I think that's something you do when you haven't seen someone in a while. If you see someone every day, like you don't do that to your coworkers or something at the office.
No.
You know?
Yeah. It's just the setting dictates the greeting.
And that's the thing, like, I think depends where you live. Like where I grew up, no one does that.
Same, where I grew up, no one
does that. When I went to I think when I went to college, I first people started doing that. And I was like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable.
Or like when you meet someone the very first time.
Yes.
Like if you hug someone, this is you're used to seeing this person and you hug and give them that kiss. But then they're like, oh, this is my friend so-and-so. Sometimes they'll go right in right away. Like the first time, I mean, I try to like do like a handshake. But a lot of times people
I hate when you like go to do the handshake and people are like, oh, handshake. I'm like, all right, shut the fuck up. Like, just don't be weird. You know what I mean? When people like acknowledge it, it's like, just don't be weird. Just go with it. Let's just all get through this moment.
That was like the best part about COVID.
Yeah.
That kind of went away for a little bit.
Yeah. My thing is too, like, I don't mind so much when you first get to a place and you do the greetings. Mine is the goodbye. You know me. I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I just dip. I just like leave. Especially if there's like a lot of people. I'm like, I don't feel like walking around to hey guys, I'm leaving. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom and I just leave.
Right.
I've like left weddings like that. The Irish goodbye. I'm just like, because I'm like, I just don't feel like going through it. It's like,
Yeah.
It feels more natural when you first see someone, but when you leave, I'm like, all right, bye.
Yeah. So I think you just hang in there, Zane. I think I wish there was like a dating site for like just like jujitsu people.
There probably is. I mean, that's Instagram.
Right?
I don't know if I want to date anyone else in jiu-jitsu ever again.
I think it would be good for you.
Or just maybe not at your jiu-jitsu gym.
I feel something that I found is like when there's like a jiu-jitsu couple and you guys like drill together, things like never go right.
Well, that's why you date a jiu-jitsu person that's not at your gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That you have like the similar interests, but
maybe. There's only so many gyms on Long Island.
Yeah. Maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah, I can't go from Astoria to
we're
my
kind
place.
of like a dating a jiu-jitsu couple.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But we were at separate gyms.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You're not like my coach.
No. So we did have UFC fights this weekend. Did you watch them at all, Zane?
No,
Absolutely not.
He was on this date.
Oh, you're on your date, yeah. There was a couple of really exciting submissions.
Oh, I want to show Zane that knee bar.
There was
he'll like that.
For one, Jessica Andrade in the main event. The first 3 minutes of that fight, I thought she was kind of getting fucked up. It looked like she got hit a few times. The girl was like controlling the center, snapping out that front kick, looked really good. Then she, what is her name? Amanda Lemos?
Yeah, Lemos.
She went for like a spinning back kick, and she kind of got her kick caught and was a little off balance. And then Andrade like bum rushed her and like ducked under, guess it would be like a right hand. And then she got a standing,
like arm.
Had an arm triangle standing.
She had it like locked like this.
She had it locked in, framed out. And I was like, oh man, she's got this. They're like, oh, she's not trying to bring it on the mat. You could tell she knew.
You could see her arm was like all the way under.
And she finished a standing arm triangle, first one ever.
It's funny they kept saying that was the first one ever, but Jessica, I got a finish of that.
Really?
But
I
maybe
feel like I've seen a finish like that.
Yeah, maybe hers. I think it was still in the UFC. I remember they said that, and I specifically remember I was like, I've seen Jessica I get that before, and I saw she posted like it was like a picture of both of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the UFC?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really, really cool submission. But yeah, it was exciting. She's a fucking good fighter. She's had a lot of success. But it just kept making me think how much I'd like you to get that rematch.
I would love to have a rematch with her. It's funny, before her fight, like UFC, because that was the main event, UFC posted like a slideshow of like all her finishes, and then like I rewatched mine. I'm like, everyone else, she like totally like knocks him out or like crazy finish. Mine, I'm like, mine looks so stupid. Like they shouldn't even. It looks like something like no one even knew what happened.
Right,
it was like, you know what I mean. I wish I could do that one again. But
I wish you could get that back. But then the other fight,
even though that Lemos girl lost, she was a lot better than I thought.
Yeah,
she's good. Yeah.
Was Clay Guida versus Claudia Puleas. And Clay Guida is like really, good grappler, good takedowns and stuff. But this guy, he threw up like a bunch of different submissions, like an armbar, a triangle, Kimura, omoplata. Then he did like this sick entry into
knee bar.
Like, I don't know how to even describe it. It's a knee bar, but like sort of inverted a little bit.
He went like he was on the bottom, like knee shield, and put his leg, like put it over, and then Clay Guida like dived over, and it was the tightest knee bar I've like ever seen.
It was almost an instant tap.
In his highlights, he
has those 3 knee bar finishes in the UFC. That's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy because he was just attacking submission, like that whole chain, and like I thought Clay Guida like broke his arm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, and then he finally got out, and you could tell he was like, okay, I survived that. And then in 2 seconds, he was in on his leg like crazy.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive.
It was like the
But
most
guy's
vicious.
from Peru. I think he used to train with my friend Raleigh Peterkin.
Oh,
In
really?
Peru. Yeah, I've heard of him before. But 3 knee bar finishes and slick as can be.
And then
like,
to do that to, I mean, like.
Clay Guida is pretty well versed on the ground.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
his last fight, he submitted Leonardo Santos, who's like a super legit black belt.
Yeah.
But so that was cool. So that was another 6 submission. And then that Charles Jourdain versus Lando Veneta. Veneta was like fucking him up. And then he had that guillotine.
Oh, yes.
Charles had a 1-arm guillotine and he stayed on the wrist and like kept feeding the wrist inside, but then ended up kind of like getting to mount and finish like a 1-arm guillotine.
Yeah, that was
like,
cool.
You could tell he like knew what he was doing. It was like a chin strap and he never went for like a high elbow. He just kept like 1 arm and finished it. But that was really impressive because Veneta's a tough fighter, but that was an impressive. So there's 3 really slick submissions on the main card.
Yeah, that last one, he was basically almost like dropped them and then he got on top and I was like, oh, at first I was like, that's a mistake. He should push off. And because sometimes people drop people and then they jump on them and then it's like the person can duck underneath them and like kind of recover. I was like, oh, that's a mistake. He should just try to stand up, just keep finishing them. But he obviously knew that he's like, was very confident with that 1-arm guillotine because he went for it right away. Yeah, because he
must have a feel with that move.
Yeah, even he went for it and his head popped out and he went for it again. Yes. It's like he like stayed on it.
Yeah, you could tell he knew. He's like, oh, I got this.
Yeah,
it was kind of the same as like Andrade. She stayed up instead of trying to like take her back or finish it. She just kept squeezing.
I thought it was.
She knew she had it.
I thought it was cool with Andrade. She said she was like, oh yeah. She's like, I've been landing this a lot lately. She's like, it's something that I kind of was playing with, and my coaches knew that this was something that could be available. I always think it's cool.
I wonder if that's true though.
I'm sure it is.
Such a wacky thing to have been.
She looked confident going on it, or she probably like, because she's so short, so she probably like, and she swings wide and ducks under, like, so she probably gets under there a lot.
Yeah,
you know, and she's like so short, so she's like right under the throat. But I always think that's cool when someone like, they're like, oh, I've been landing this all camp, and then they do it. And sometimes, like, who was it with the Masvidal and Askren knee, when they show the clip of him fight week doing the exact same thing, and then it works. That's so.
You're like Connor and Jose Aldo. Like before that, he was like angling off, throwing the left hand.
Yeah,
yeah.
Or you hear stories, people are like, oh, they just showed me this move in the locker room and it worked. Yeah. That happens a lot. I think that those stories are so cool.
Yeah. So those 3 submissions were amazing. Really good display of jiu-jitsu. Then the only other fight I think worth talking about was Macy Barber and Montana De La Rosa. It was like a weird fight because they just stayed in like the old school like wrestlers clinch, like over under.
Yeah.
Hands locked. And Macy Barber just kind of like did a little more.
And she just tried harder. She had good elbows, really good elbows off the clinches.
Yeah. But then
Montana
she was always
just
so
slow.
cocky. She was always quick to call people out. But then they were like, all right, Macy Barber, now you have 2 wins in a row. Who do you want to call out? And I knew, I was like, she better be careful.
Yeah.
Because like the next call out would have to be like a top 10 type person. And I'm sure she doesn't really,
Yeah, she should take her time a little.
So I wonder what will happen with her. I don't know. It's wild how much, like, there's still so much hype on her.
Yeah, I don't really get it.
People talk about her like she's like a super accomplished fighter.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know.
Well, now she's 4-2 in the UFC, which that's definitely decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like talked about like a storied fighter.
Right. I don't understand that either. Yeah. She's like sponsored by Monster. It's always weird. I'm like, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I don't think she's like, I don't know. When she talk, well, now she's more likable now, I think, because she's not as cocky. She got humbled, and now I'm like, oh, now she just seems like a normal like girl. It's like trying to get better, and that's cool. But before it was like, all right, slow down a little bit. But that's what happens. You lose and then slow down, and then maybe that'll help her.
Yeah, but,
she's definitely aggressive.
Yeah, she's
really
aggressive.
good elbows. I think Montana is like, I thought she was gonna do a little better. She just looks so slow.
She just looked like she didn't just try hard enough.
Yeah.
I think she could have beaten her.
Yeah.
I still think she could have.
She kept doing that, and that we talk about it all the time. I can't stand it. She kept doing that, like,
reaching back.
12. I call it the 12-year-old headlock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the cage, she had like a position. She's going for a headlock. I'm like, why?
Instead of like pummeling
I was
into
like,
an
why are
underhook.
you doing that? Every time I see someone do that, I get so mad.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, definitely is weird. Then what else? There was Tyson Fury fought this weekend.
We missed it.
Unfortunately, we missed it. But
It's like the
always
only
kinda
boxing
cool. It's the only
fight-
boxing fight I ever want to see is him.
Yeah.
And we missed it.
He called out Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. I wonder, like, just for a straight boxing fight?
I guess so. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Whatever.
it's good for him, I'm sure.
yeah.
Right? If he fucks Francis up in boxing, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's interesting. Then there was some Bellator fights.
I cannot.
Your Liz Caramouche got a belt.
That was like the night before. I didn't see that
Yeah.
because I didn't realize they had 2 nights. 2 nights. They were like saying, I just saw the end highlight of the finish, and people were saying like, "Oh, it was a bad finish." I'm like,
I don't think it was.
I didn't think it was, but I was like, I literally saw like a 10-second clip, so maybe I missed something, but I didn't think it was a bad finish. I always feel bad for Liz. I'm like, damn, she always gets like, I like her. She's just kind of, she's been
tough.
doing it forever,
Well, now
and
she's champ.
yeah. So I was happy for her. I mean, I don't even know the other girl. Couldn't tell you her name, but we watched a little bit of Bellator last night. The fights are good, but it is so, I say all the time, I feel like I'm like a broken record. The commentating is so awful. I feel
The
like
whole thing, the whole production, the
it's
commentating,
so
the announcers.
bad. The commentators are like making like corny jokes. They were like, the one guy had like a choke on, and he's like, Wu-Tang Clan is going on tour, so he better protect his neck. I was like, wait, what?
So forced.
And they're always like those gimmicky things.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
so
ugh,
forced.
like this is so cheesy. Like even like CFFC, like the regional promotion here, we
Oh,
watched
way
them the
better.
night before. That's like a normal production. They're not like corny like that. It's so
Yeah.
weird. Like the fights are good, and it like almost puts like the fighters at a disservice because it's like it's the commentating so
it's
cheesy.
really hard for me to get through one of those.
And like
those
the
fights.
Hawaiian girl walked out, and it's like the whole like, I get it that the fight's in Hawaii, but like every person working the commentators, everyone has like a Hawaiian shirt on. It's just like a little too like, are we at Disney World or are we at a fight? I don't
Right.
know. It's a little too
But
cheesy.
she
for
was
me.
the Bellator champion for a long time.
Yeah.
And this was her fight back. And
Yeah.
she lost to Justine Kish. I looked, Justine Kish was 1-5 her last 6.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
They were giving her Justine thinking like, oh, this is an easy fight.
right.
Because Justine Kish lost to Deanna Bennett, who I used to train with. Deanna Bennett like murdered her. So you would think Deanna would get to fight to fight her, and then they gave her Justine Kish. So it was like, obviously that was a layup, and it did not work out well.
Didn't work out. But one guy who was super impressive was Patchy Mix. He trains with Jake Shields, but he won the first round of the Bantamweight tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So it's $1 million tournament. Now he's in the semis. Good for him. Good for Jake. But yeah, so that's it for the fights. Zane, do we have Am I the Asshole this week?
We do. I'm pulling it up right now.
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, you know what? Someone sent me an Am I the Asshole. I forgot about it. But go ahead.
We can do that next week.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for telling my mom she is too old to be crying about a man?
That's it?
I mean, I have to read the...
That's the title.
Wow, okay. So this girl is 15 and her mom is 37. Her mom had a baby 6 months ago, and she's been acting very sensitive about everything. It has been really annoying for me, but I have tried to be tolerant with her. The issue is that yesterday when I was hungry and wanted to order a pizza, I found my mom in her room crying. It is not weird for her to cry. She has been very emotional, but this is different. She was really crying in a very intense way. I asked her what happened. She said after putting the baby to sleep, she went to see my dad and tried to kiss him, but he didn't let her because he said she smelled like a baby puke and that he was busy working. I became frustrated with my mom. She was a grown woman crying because of a man not kissing her. It is so dumb. I haven't kissed anyone yet. Should I be crying all day? I told her that I was hungry and asked her to be more mature. I just said she needs to start acting more like an adult again. She has been distant since that moment, barely talking to me or my dad. I think that maybe I was too harsh on her, but I was just being honest because I'm tired of her acting like this. Am I the asshole?
No, you're 15. She's the adult. Definitely not. Dude, ooh, that sneeze came out of nowhere. I don't think she's an asshole. It's just like, I mean, obviously, I don't know much about this, but I think like after you have a kid or during pregnancy, you're like super hormonal, and that's like a big thing. So I'm sure that's probably the issues, but also like, yeah, you're a mom. I always feel bad. And like, I hear people complain about this stuff, or like you hear stories like this all the time, and growing up, you don't think that like your parents being mature is such a gift. You just think, cause like the way I grew up, like your parents aren't like crying because of drama.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? But you just think, oh, well, they're parents. They're supposed to be mature and do that. You don't even think of it twice. But like so many people, like you hear that they're like, their parents are like, especially if their parents are dating, like mom's crying, stuff like that. Like, that's crazy. If you're 15, think about how much drama like a 15-year-old girl has in high school. And then she has to like deal with her mom crying because of like her boyfriend not wanting to kiss her and stuff. That's super sad. I almost think that like her mom probably has like, you know, something's a little off and wrong with her. And like, that's so sad that she has to like grow up like that, like walking on eggshells and like worrying if her mom's like upset or sad. Like, you know what I mean? When you hear stories like that, you don't realize how lucky you are growing up if you don't have to deal with that. You just think that that's a given. It's supposed to be like that.
Yeah, but I will say this. I don't think that there's such thing as being too old to be upset about something.
No.
But I think that as a parent, I think you should try to like hide it a little more.
Yes.
And, like, you know, fake it. But it's not the easiest thing ever. But I do get how she could be upset. And like,
of course.
You know, but I think as a parent, they should try to like hide it, and like the kid comes first. And
yeah.
don't stress out the kid, this and that. But I don't know. And then 15 is not like a little kid, so she should just be like, oh my God, like roll her eyes and
yeah,
like,
but it's still 15 to have to deal with that, to have to like take care of like your parent being immature. That sucks.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, her, you know, someone died, it's something like that and she's depressed. Like, all right, get over it. You know what I mean? Your 15-year-old, like your daughter's hungry, like worry about that and not about like your boyfriend not wanting to kiss you or give you attention.
Right.
Just like when you have a kid, you got to worry about them first. You can't worry about like yourself like that. You could obviously be upset and explain to them that like, I think parents can show their kids that they get upset by things and trying to talk them through it and use it as like a teaching them a lesson instead of just totally like disassociating emotions. But yeah, the mom's an asshole. Get over it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Why don't you take a shower? And maybe no, I'm just kidding. Before we go, quick note. Anyone that's listening, I'm deep into the Johnny Depp trial.
Oh my God, you really are.
I'm almost getting a little annoyed because I feel like you're not into it like me, and I try to tell you new details I find out, and you're like not super into it.
No, I just don't know much about it, and I was like,
well, you should now.
I didn't know like who are you supposed? You know how like you're supposed to side with Ukraine, you're supposed to side with like masks.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you supposed to side with in this?
Johnny Depp.
Story?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm surprised.
That's who, like all the people.
Yes.
Like the people who say you have to get a vaccine, they're also for Johnny Depp.
I think it's more universal than.
I think everyone.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know.
It's not like a
sometimes like you're not allowed to
like the guy. No, normally in like a Me Too situation, right, the guy's always wrong. And I think that's why he was so like, no, this is not a Me Too situation. This girl's a psycho. So he was like welcoming going to trials because he's like, knew like she's going to go, she's going to be exposed. She's trying to do to me what like maybe other people did. Because before the whole Me Too thing, every guy was wrong, no matter what. If
No
any
matter
girl
what.
said a guy did something, they were wrong. But this is not the case. Like everyone, I think maybe at first before it went to trial and people heard it, and this is all public. You can watch the trial, watch all the clips. Because of that, I think everyone.
So everyone's on his side.
Yeah. So this is interesting because I think because people can see this situation, it might make them in the future with other situations. Not saying that this is always the case, but it might make some people be like, hey, maybe she's making things up, or maybe the guy could be the one that's actually getting abused. You know what I mean? Because she was definitely like wearing fake makeup to like make bruises on her face, and like it was just so wild.
Yeah, that is wild. But you know what I mean by that though, because whenever there's something like this, like the media or whatever, be like, well, no, you have to be against Russia. You have to be for Ukraine, or you have to, whatever it is. I wasn't sure if this was.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Depp is,
It's kind of fun because it's not like that. It's
like
just
that.
more like, this is a crazy bitch. And everyone's like, and Johnny Depp on the stand is like, I could watch that all day long.
He's funny.
He's not fun. He's just so like captivating. Like I was like watching the live of the trial the other morning, and I was like, I feel like I'm watching like the best movie of my life. Like when he talks, he is so captivating. I'm like, oh my God. And he could say, I was like, he could punch me in the face. I don't care. Like he's so cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's really good. But I'm so into it.
I don't know much about it.
But then I saw like, do you know anything about all these like food places, like food supply manufacturing buildings getting set on fire?
No.
I heard something about that, and they're like, oh, well, that's why their media is just playing all this Johnny Depp to cover that up. And like all these like big like Walmart supply chains with foods are all like randomly setting on fire and burning down.
Really?
I got to look into that.
Look into it.
I'm on it.
Well, maybe not now. We'll look into it for the future, but yeah.
So that's wild. Yeah, so that's good stuff.
So fuck Amber Heard. Zayn, keep trying to go on dates.
Keep trying to date Zayn.
And 3 weeks till this fight.
3 weeks till fight time.
Let's go.
Let's go. Please subscribe. We picked up a decent amount of subscribers this week. I appreciate that.
Daddy likey.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye.